Guys, we're going to be checking out a Kershaw Shuffle today. This is my personal one that I've had a little bit over a year now. Picked it up on a Black Friday sale. I'm going to go through like a general overview here. Check out, there's some serious wear on this particular example. You can see some scratches, you can see some dings. You can see the model number right there, just about worn off right by the thumb stud. Some wearing on the screws and hardware, stuff like that. Kind of open construction there behind the blade. You can see this blade starts out pretty thick stock, and then kind of thins out and then gets thick again, kind of near the tip. So a little bit of an interesting design characteristic there. And another thing to note is that the scales here are cut out more for a right-handed person. Yep, definitely righty friendly, not so much for left-handed guys. Alright, so let's get into the meat of this Kershaw Shuffle. Go over construction real quick. We have an 8CR13 MOV stainless steel blade. We have stainless steel construction all the way throughout. We have some plastic handle scales here. Deep carry pocket clip, which I really love. It is a liner lock knife. We have a bottle opener here on the spine, which works okay, not great. Used it before, it's better than having nothing, but it's not like a dedicated bottle opener. Moving on here to the back end, I use this all the time. I use this as a pry bar, as a flat-headed screwdriver, and it works great. I also threw on a zip tie here as a makeshift lanyard, and that works really good for getting it out of your pocket because it sits so deep in there with the deep carry pocket clip. Really, really comfortable to carry too. The overall design of this knife, I really like how it just starts, has like a continuous curve here, which means it is really, really comfortable in your hand, at least for my size hands. I have medium-sized hands. If you have, large hands, really small hands, may differ for you, but just for me, it works out really good. We have some really deep cutouts here in the handle for your fingers, finger grooves here, and another added bonus that this zip tie gives you is that when you get a full grip on the knife, your pinky finger is off just a little bit, and that zip tie kind of helps lock in your grip there, almost like a fourth finger hold. Works out really nice. This knife is not a very long blade. It's about 2 inches. Not exactly sure on that, but it's around 2 inches. Not too big, but it's big enough for most of the tasks that everybody's going to run into on the everyday tasks, stuff like that. Smoothness, I would say, is decent. It's not great. When it came from the Big R store that I bought it from, it was not smooth at all. It took, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 times of opening and closing it over this past year that I've had it to get it smoothened up as much as it has, and it's decent. It's not great, it's not bad, it's just decent, it's okay. Blade centering is not great, but not terrible. Not too bad, just a little bit to the right there. And pretty good knife overall, I would have to say. This particular interpretation of 8CR13 MOV is really, really soft. It's not great, guys. It really isn't. Have to sharpen this thing up all the time on a little pocket sharpener. Sometimes I use an electric sharpener, and all the time. This is usually my work knife, or has been, up until I got a box cutter type knife that I used. And this thing would go dull pretty easily. You didn't have to put a whole lot of work through this knife to get it just completely dull to where you'd have to switch to something else. But that's okay, because this is not meant to be a razor knife or something of that nature. This is really, really tailored to a smaller sized everyday carry knife. Something small and lightweight, and on the segue of being lightweight, let's check the weight here. We have 2.72 ounces. Okay, so not super lightweight like some of the ultra lightweight, plastic liner, all plastic construction, just a steel blade type of knives, but you're never going to notice it in your pocket. It's fairly short overall length. mentioning the lastingness of this knife. Like I said, I've left it outside a couple of times by accident, of course. Like to treat all my knives nicely, and had to scratch away a little bit of rust. Have it oiled up and stuff now. That was a little while ago, but still perfectly fine. This pocket clip here has loosened up on me before. It absolutely has. Not going to tell you that it hasn't, and I've had to tighten that up, and you can see even here it's not super tight, but I'm having to use a decent amount of force to get that to pivot there. Pretty great overall. The thumb studs on this open much better for a right-handed person than a left-handed one. I have a brother who is left-handed and owns one of these knives, and it is not the greatest for him. He's since switched on to something else. But you can see, since it has a liner lock there, you really don't want to be cutting too much of that material away to keep your structural integrity around. Speaking of structural integrity, we have stainless steel liners down in there. Not super easy to see. Put a little light down in there. Yeah, there we go. See a little bit of the grit and grime from using this thing for a full year. It has held up really nicely. Haven't had to mess with the pivot screw at all. Hasn't been too loose and shaking around. Speaking of that, how is the lockup? How is the lockup? Tack to pants? Well, up and down is rock solid, but side to side, if you put some force on it, and you can't feel this as much when you're using it, but if you put some force on it, it'll flex on you. But the lockup itself, feeling-wise, when you're holding it in your hand, it just feels really great, thanks in part to this nice choil, which is also nice because you can sharpen it all the way back to that choil. Makes it, a little bit easier for when you're sharpening this knife. So overall, I'd say really, really nice. I enjoy carrying it. Don't so much anymore because of the, softer steel. Moved on to something else, but for its time and absolutely for the amazing price of $6 that I got it for, really, really great. And I know that you can pick these up on Amazon for anywhere from $10 to $15, and it is a great purchase decision at that price. As always, thanks guys. Like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down and go to the comment section and tell you why you didn't like it. See you guys. Bye.